everyone, this is Glenda Dawson, and you're watching Glenda's Dragon's Den. Today we have a guest who is on her way, um, and she may seem familiar to you since she has been on our show before. And I'm going to let her come in a second. But I just wanted to say thank you to everyone that follows us and watches the show every week. Please remember to like, to share, to comment in the chat. Don't hesitate. And if you have any questions, just put them in the chat. So let's welcome Maureen. How are you, honey?
Hi, I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Fantastic, fantastic. I love the hair. I really do.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's you were kind of on your way there with the last time we had you, but not quite there. This is good
Yeah,
look for you.
I'm really liking this actually.
Yeah, and you wear it well. You wear it well. Not too many people can
Thank
pull that off.
thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. You look great tonight.
Thanks, thanks. It's like 3 pots of coffee. Uh,
It's better than
yeah,
3 gallons of something.
uh, pots of coffee, and I as you well, I take care. We take care of our one granddaughter,
Hmm.
and she just turned 2, so she's in her very busy twos.
Yeah, that's a fun
Yeah,
age.
yes, it is. It is a fun age. She's very inquisitive. She goes all over the place, but that keeps grandma running.
Yeah,
So grandma is like, coffee, okay, let's this way and that way. So
it's a crazy age actually. I'm trying to see
uh,
where these blinds are driving me crazy. I don't know what's inside of this. I never know with my grandkids and my.
uh, yeah.
Oh, this fell. My tree of life fell out of my window. I was wondering.
Oh, look at
Okay,
that. That
that's
shows
better.
you how to find it.
Yeah, really.
So how are you doing, honey?
I'm
Really?
doing well. I'm doing well. How
Yeah.
about yourself?
Good, good. I we got to talk not just a little bit, about yourself and what you do, but I really need to hear more about the Keys trip. Come
Oh,
on. That is
I love it so much. I mean, we've been there several times, obviously. My
right.
all-time favorite place in the world is Puerto Morelos, Mexico, but this is kind of like a stand-in for it because, you get to be at this natural beach and it's beautiful. You can see your toes through the water and the fish swim around and you kind of like have to shuffle your feet for because the stingrays are there. But um, you get the best of every part of the world there. You have that, and
Good.
it's the quiet and the peacefulness, and you don't have a lot of people around you when you're on the beach there. But the nightlife is crazy, crazy, crazy. You can walk down the street and all the bars are hopping, and um, the shopping is fantastic if anybody likes to shop.
Mm,
Um,
good.
Even like the daytime is nutty. You could go into any bar there. You can go to Captain Tony's. You can go to Sloppy Joe's, the Green Parrot. You can go any of those places, and it's packed, packed,
Mm,
packed, packed. Like I don't know if it's just that it's so hot, or if it's just that it's just the party atmosphere. I mean, you can party anytime there.
wow.
It's a
Wow.
lot of
Okay.
fun.
Okay. That sounds interesting. So tell us a little bit about you for those that didn't watch the other show that you were on, and what you do, and and then definitely let's talk about some of those haunted places you went to.
Love this part.
Yeah,
I like the part about talking about myself because I really hate to talk about. I think that's like one
most
of
of
the
us.
things
Yeah,
with
me too.
us.
Yeah, it's just a
Um,
you know
I don't even know where to begin. Um,
paranormal investigator. There, you started.
okay, we'll start with that. So I am a paranormal investigator. I think
Mhm.
I've kind of been that person since I'm a little kid. I have always, been I've been Snoopy. um, My mom always called me curiouser and curiouser. She got,
Okay.
she got that from Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland. I've always been who, why, what, where, when, how, and then she leaves me home and I wonder why. Um, I'm very curious. I want to know why.
Mm-hmm.
Always. Why is the sky blue? Why are people still here when they're supposed to be on the other side? So I just have to know. And
Mm-hmm.
it's going to bother me until I'm on the other side and I know for myself. So
Mm-hmm.
um, I started off, I've had abilities since I was born.
Right.
Since I was a little kid, and I didn't know that. I thought everybody had abilities. I didn't even know that they were abilities. I thought everybody was born this way, like Lady Gaga said.
Yeah.
But I would talk to whatever was around me, or
Mm-hmm.
I felt energy. I'm an energy worker and an energy mover. Like that was the very first thing that I knew about, because street lights would go out over me as we would pass under
Mm-hmm.
them, or I would get really, really angry and light bulbs would shatter. Or my all-time favorite was when I was in Mexico with my ex-husband and I got so mad that a fire started in a wall. Like, you pissed me off, it's gonna happen. But um
I hear you. I hear you.
I things would happen to me. People would, do terrible things to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't just like they had bad luck.
Right.
Terrible things happened to them. And I kind of jokingly refer to it, whoever it is or whatever it is, as my karma bouncer.
There you go.
I,
Mm-hmm.
I truly believe that there is something that kind of like either follows me around or it's just a response. It's not me, because I never intentionally say, do this to a person. And even as
Right.
a little kid, kids don't think to themselves, I hope this person has a stroke.
Mm.
And that
Mm-mm.
tends to be the response a lot, a stroke. And
Mm.
I would never wish that upon someone. I truly
Right.
believe as we come into this world, we do a lot of choosing for ourselves. We choose
Mm-hmm.
our life path. We choose who we're going to be as a person, what our name is going to be, who our parents are going to be, who our siblings are going to be, what our job will be, how this maps out and where it takes us and why it takes us in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's something negative, I never say bad or good, positive or negative. And if it is something that's negative, it's for a reason, because it's to help learn about why that happens. And then
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's to help another person. We need to
Mm-hmm.
learn, what that feels like, or how we need to rise above
Right.
to help someone else, so that they need to learn from that. And if they don't, then that's on them, because they had someone, a guardian,
Mm-hmm.
here on earth to learn from. Um, but all of these things happen for a reason. And
Mm-hmm.
when we choose our own path, it's for a purpose. There's a purpose that we are here. There's a
Right.
purpose, and we have a job that
Mm-hmm.
we come here with. So we may hate it, but
Mm-hmm.
we didn't know that, while we're here, we're not supposed to know what we're doing.
Right.
We're supposed to be, if we begrudgingly do it, that's not the reason. We're supposed to
Mm-hmm.
do everything with love.
Mm-hmm.
So you're
Very
supposed
true.
to, pull on your boots with your bootstraps, and lovingly do these things. And if you're hating the people that caused your trauma,
Mm-hmm.
at first you probably may not like it, but you have to forgive them, because it's only going to have a negative reaction for you.
Mm-hmm.
And that attachment is not something that's going to help you. It's just going to continue to tie you down and make things worse for you. You're supposed to learn from that, cut off that attachment, realize what the lesson is and move on and help other people
and,
that
and yeah,
thing.
and sometimes we need that, whatever event it is, to push us to where we were supposed to be, that we just haven't been getting the little signals, when they're like, excuse me, you're supposed to go to the left lane, not the right lane, and you're still driving in the right lane, and they're like, okay,
Yeah.
that's it, we're going to push you somehow over there.
Yeah.
um
I did a
but
lot of driving in the left lane to learn, unfortunately, because I didn't get that knock on the forehead. I got the kick in the ass and I wound up on the floor a lot.
well, come on, let's face it, your guides and my guides probably drink a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
It's
They're
heavy
probably,
stuff too.
yeah, they're probably drawing straws every day, every single day, see whose turn it is, and they're like, oh, okay. Yeah.
They might actually be in AA now if we've learned this, but they
Right.
were heavy drinkers. They
Yeah.
hit the bottle a lot. Well, I think we're doing pretty well, don't you?
Yeah. Yes, I think we are. I think we are. And I think that that's part of who we are. We just, okay, at that very moment, we are human. So we get a little upset, and but then we think about it and we're like, you know what? I I, I got direction to go someplace differently, and maybe my path is not there anymore, and I just got to continue. And when once you release that energy, you feel like you're flying.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you go through a divorce, for example. Um, my
That's
ex, my first ex-husband and I are not the best of friends or anything, but we could sit in a room and talk to each other. We're not telling each other crazy things and all that other stuff. It's like, why? That was
mhm.
back then, so many years ago. We're talking, oh, God, dear Lord, I think I would have been married 32 years, something like that, at least. No, almost 40. What am I thinking about? When I first, but, you know, I don't even
It's
remember.
funny you should mention that because my first ex-husband and I, we got along very well.
Hmm.
We had a great time together. He's a great person. He's just a terrible husband. Terrible. And all of his wives will tell you the same thing. But he's a great person. I
Right,
mean, if I ever went to him, and we still talk and we're still friends,
right, right,
um, but he's a terrible husband. He has
right.
low self-esteem and he wants to figure out how to fix that by cheating. And
Uh,
I admit that. My second husband,
uh-huh.
he's just a terrible person. And the thing is, I he did horrible things to me, horrible. I was warned about his temper. Um, my temper used to be really bad, so I was like, anybody can change the temper part, but you can't
Right,
change the smarmy, disgusting human being part. So,
right.
I mean, I forgave him for the things that he's done to
Hmm.
me. I could easily sit in a room with him if he changed those things.
Right.
He would never be able to sit in a room with me because he has not changed as a person.
And that's part of his path. You gave him an opportunity for him to learn what he needed to learn, to evolve, to grow. And if he didn't, that's on him. It's not
Yeah.
on you anymore. And that's, I think, one of the things with, people say, oh, once you get married, you should stay forever together. I'm like, yeah, yeah, okay, that's great for many couples. I'm sorry, not for everyone. I mean,
I don't
you
think
and I,
that's true.
perform ceremonies. You know,
Yes.
so we do this with the greatest intention that this couple is going to stay together for the rest of their lives. And they do it with the greatest intention that that's going to happen, but that's sometimes not the cards that you're dealt with.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of times where, you know, I would love to see that happen.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I would have loved to have stayed with first and second husband, but I truly believe that there are people who you're supposed to learn from in that moment,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and they hold a place
Yeah.
for, you know, other people to come in, and you're supposed to learn and grow from them, and that's
Mm-hmm.
exactly what transpired. Some people are supposed to be in your life for the rest of your life.
Right.
There are some people who, you know, you're supposed to learn a quick lesson from them and then be gone, because they're just, you're on this like vibrational level here,
Yeah.
and if they're here and you keep advancing and you're all the way up here, those people are going to drop off. But that lesson that I learned,
Mm-hmm.
I'm thankful for, I'm grateful for, I'm very blessed to have learned those things.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're not willing to continue to vibrate with you and keep growing, then it's supposed to slough off.
Right.
So
Exactly.
you
Exactly.
can't stay in a relationship or a marriage with somebody if they're abusive, they're
Exactly.
a gaslighter, they're neglectful, they
Mm-hmm.
are rude, and they put their hands on you. You can't stay
No.
with
Yeah. No.
that, you know.
Absolutely.
They're not
Absolutely.
like that with everyone, but
No.
you know, that's what you're supposed to learn from. And people say, "Oh my God, you're on husband number 3." Yes, and I'm very proud to say I'm with husband number 3 because he's an amazing husband.
Right.
Number 1, great friend, terrible husband. That was when I was younger.
Right.
I never thought I'd get married again. The second husband, he seemed like a great person, but I was like this the whole time.
Uh.
And I thought, you know what? I was really duped into this because everyone kept saying he's stable, he's a great person, he's a great friend, he's a great man, he's a great son, he's a great whatever. He could be great all the way around with those things, but you know what? He wasn't great to me or for me.
Right. And that was your lesson to learn how to decipher for yourself.
I needed that.
Right. Right. Because then, as one of my mentors used to say, you got to kiss a lot of frogs so you know what frogs never to go back to.
Mm-hmm.
Not to find your prince, but what frogs you do not want.
Yeah.
Because sometimes all these lessons are not about what you need or want, but what you know you will not accept any longer.
Mm-hmm. And that ruined a big, huge portion of my life. And it ruined my relationship with my son. And I missed the birth of my grandson. And it missed I missed a big chunk of my son's life. And
Mm-hmm.
finally, we did reconnect. And it's probably better than it was. And I
Right.
get to see my grandson now. But, I used to hate my ex-husband for that. He
Mm-hmm.
he took away friends. They weren't friends. If they're willing to side with someone who's a, masochist and gaslighter and liar and
Mm-hmm.
did horrible, I don't even, unspeakable things to me. If that's who they're willing to stand up for and side with, see ya, because
Yeah.
you weren't friends to begin with.
I prefer that they just don't pick sides and just walk away. Walk
Mm-hmm.
away from everybody, then pick a side because now, but if it's you're my friend since before I met him and you're now, oh, he's a great guy and I was okay, you go and go
Yeah.
ahead.
And that's how it
And
was. So I learned a lot from that. So anyone
mm-hmm.
who is watching, don't ever let someone abuse you. Don't ever let someone
No. Mm-mm.
treat you terribly. Don't ever let someone, you know, try to push you around or, you
And
know,
not make you feel safe or unloved or unworthy. Each
right.
and every one of us is worthy of love, worthy of feeling safe, even if we're not such great person, not such great people at that moment. Because maybe, they're going through their thing, but everyone should be feeling so that they could speak their truth and not be punished for it, basically, in such a terrible way that leaves you even without breathing. So, right? So,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, it's a lesson that a lot of people need to learn. So, so what did you see, or where did you go down there? Because I saw like a cemetery and stuff like that.
So we drove
Hmm.
because we're idiots and our dogs own us.
I
um,
like driving. I like driving. I just refuse from the my last trip on to take 95 down. Never, ever, ever again. I don't
yeah,
care if I have to go to the other side of
of
like
the moon.
Florida, yeah, the moon, and come back this way. It no, never. Oh my God, it's gotten worse, worse
Um,
and worse and worse every single time. So no.
See, I don't mind 95. I really don't. It
Oh,
doesn't phase me.
that was terrible for me.
But I did notice. I took note of every state,
Uh huh.
and the road rage in certain states was incredible. And some of the worst drivers, some of them drive under the speed limit in certain states. I can't.
Yeah, and I am sure you're not saying 5 under the speed limit. They're like
No.
20. They're like 20. And it's like, "Oh, wow, okay. If I go there, I'm going to have that guy in back of my bumper that I cannot even see his headlights. If I go in the middle lane, you got potluck. You get somebody who's angry and coming in, whatever. You go to the slow lane, then you got somebody who's really slow, who's dangerously slow.
Or
Because
people who cross over 4 lanes, and
oh,
then all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, this is the wrong lane," and then they cross
the
back.
glass back. I know.
It's
Like
mind
I
blowing.
said, yeah, that's why one of the reasons I'm like, no, 95, that's okay.
Yeah,
I'll pass. I'll pass.
I always say that the gene pool is shallow. It's shallow. It's like someone threw a tablespoon of water in a baby pool.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so we brought our dogs,
Hmm.
and we were driving the Durango, so we had a lot of space. And
Hmm.
boy, did we overpack because we hardly used any of what we took with us. I mean, we were prepared for the beach because every stop we made a point to stay like a day or two and
Right.
go to one of the beaches. We took beach chairs, an umbrella, a tent for the beach, like the kind that you could just like crawl inside of if there
Right.
was too much. Because my husband is glow in the dark white. Like you can call him Casper, and he'll be right on. And then of course there's me. I mean, I'm still. You can tell how tan I am. And
Right.
it was weeks. I mean, this is like, oh my god, are we going on? This was like a month and a half ago, and I have
Right.
not been out in the sun since. So I was like dark.
Oh.
Um, so we stopped in Charleston. So we're
Hmm.
driving from, okay, so just to let everyone know, we're driving from northeastern Pennsylvania. We stopped in Charleston. That wasn't the only stop. We stopped for bathroom breaks because we
Yeah.
killed each other. Um, and we do have a good time together. So we like sing on the way, whatever.
Right.
And if there is a Buc-ee's, do you know what Buc-ee's is?
Hmm.
Okay. If there's a Buc-ee's, we will kill each other to get inside to eat whatever's there. Those brisket sandwiches, man, are amazing. They have the
Hmm.
cleanest bathrooms I've ever seen in my lifetime.
Hmm.
The candied nuts are amazing. And we will get lost in there. It's
Hmm.
like going into the Bermuda Triangle of life. We'll go all there. We'll be there all day long, but we know enough that we have to get our food, get in, get out, because there's another Buc-ee's not far from there. So we're making another stop. So we'll talk about Buc-ee's the whole ride and figure out what we're getting to eat first.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay.
So we stopped in Charleston and we stayed in KOAs. And for anybody that doesn't know, it's like Campground of America with the K. And there's little cabins that you can rent that are dog friendly. They have pools, they have bars, they have games, they have game night, they have bingo. Some of them have restaurants, some of them have like full blown, it's like living in a little city. So we stayed in Charleston and we went to the beach there. And I can't remember what beach we went to this time. It's so pretty there, though. It's like the last time we went to like the marketplace area, like the historical part. It's beautiful. If anybody has not been there, you should go because it's stunning. Like they have the old marketplace area where they were literally selling slaves on the street. Wow. And they turned it into a marketplace area. And any historical location that you go to, the proceeds go into like saving the historical buildings. It's really pretty. They do have all of the old homes. And you can walk down like it's kind of like a millionaire's row. The houses are ridiculous. Ridiculous. I don't know how people had that kind of money back then, since our economy sucks now and it's like ridiculous. So then we went from Charleston. I don't think we didn't investigate anything in Charleston. Then we went to St. Augustine. And I had not been prepared for St. Augustine.
I love St. Augustine.
Not prepared.
I know why you were not prepared.
Because my next favorite after Puerto Morelos in Mexico was Key West.
Right.
And when we stopped in this place, my husband said, "You are going to love this place." And I said, "I'm not." Because Key West and Puerto Morelos, they have my heart.
Right.
I fell in love with this place and didn't want to leave.
Oh, I know.
It's unbelievable. We planned on a ghost walk. It was silent in this town. Silent. We drove in and we parked our car in a parkade, and we stayed in a KOA there as well, in a cabin. And it was adorable. We get into the parkade, and immediately right there was a cemetery. And I don't know what that one's called. Do you?
I don't remember. I really don't remember.
And as we're walking, I'm like, why is it so quiet? Is this how it always is? And my husband's like, well, yeah, I mean, it gets quiet here after dark. But we were not in store for what was going to be a monsoon. We didn't know. But across the street from the cemetery was Castillo de San Marcos, which is this huge fort, which is completely built of sand with tiny seashells that's packed down for centuries. We can't build a damn sandcastle at the beach.
Right.
Like, I don't know how these people did this. You can't make a sandcastle that lasts 15 seconds, first of all, if you have little Bobby with you. You know, he's like Godzilla. Let alone the fact that you cannot pack sand this tightly. This was tightly bound. And they had a drawbridge. They had this moat around it, and part of the moat has like a living seawall with all these creatures. There's shrimp you can see. I was so fascinated by that alone that I could have stayed there and watched this all day. All the men lived in one room, and when we went back the second time on the way home, just the people breathing in the room made me want to panic because it was so hot in there, just from the breath alone. I don't know how these people did this. It was stunning. You go on top of this thing and you look out and you could see all the clear water and the Lions Bridge. Oh my God. Amazing. Stunning. Hi. We have somebody watching.
Yeah. Hi, Helen. Well, we have at least 10 watching, but
Oh,
it's in
nice.
the chat room. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. So the Lion's Bridge has 2 lion statues on the end, and it actually opens in the middle, and it's lit all up at night. It's beautiful. It's absolutely stunning. So St. Augustine is the oldest city in Florida. Actually, in the country, I think, right?
In the country, yes.
1565 or something like that.
Right.
So we walk past there. My husband is dead set on going to Ann O'Malley's before we do anything else because he wants this t-shirt so desperately that says, you can't drink all day if you don't start early or something like that. Well, so we get there, and he had that shirt from like when he was young,
Right.
and it's ripped apart, worn out. I think it has holes in the boobs. Like, you got to see this thing. And I said, you need a new one. You can't keep wearing this out. So we go into this place, and it's hopping, and there's a guy singing, if you can call it that. And we just dropped in really quick to find a shirt. They don't make these shirts anymore. They only make shirts for the firefighters. So my husband's like, I don't want that. I'm a cop. I just want the funny shirt. They told us no. And all of a sudden you hear kaboom, lights go out. It's hailing and raining. And I'm like, do you think we'll make it to the ghost walk? Like, and we were supposed to dip in for a shirt, get back out, go for dinner, and then go on the ghost walk. Well, these guys were like, there's no way in hell you're going on this ghost walk. I'm telling you right now, once it starts to get like this, it stays like this for a while. So get comfortable. And I was like, but I wanted like a real dinner. And they have sandwiches. These guys were amazing. They were hysterical. They literally had a kitchen this big. And when I say kitchen, it's behind the bar, and it consists of a toaster oven and a microwave.
Okay.
We never laughed so hard in our lives. We had them laughing. We had the whole bar laughing. So the 2 guys behind the bar and the 2 of us, it was just nonstop banter. We wound up eating there. It was the best. And I have to say this to the guys at Ann O'Malley's, if you're watching this, we love you and we will be back. We had the best turkey clubs ever in our lives. The greatest. We stayed till closing time. And so did everyone else. And it stopped raining. And the ghost hunt people gave us our money back because we were from Pennsylvania and we weren't going to be able to get back again. It was the best time ever. So we loved it there so much that on our way back, we went back to St. Augustine and we stopped at Ann O'Malley.
I love St. Augustine. I just love it there.
It's amazing.
It's, it's just the feel.
The architecture,
the
people are sweet. And I didn't even realize how in depth you can get in this place, because when you walk down the main street, if you turn a corner and you're down an alley, there's like 50 alleys with all of this rich cultural history. And like, we didn't even dip a toe into haunted stuff that time. But
and you, because you have gifts, you will know when you're starting to walk on the old cemetery, because all they did was just pave above the graves under it. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is why I feel this way here. All right, can we keep walking?
I could feel like I got like a chill up my spine, and I thought after the storm, I was like, was that the storm? Because I can feel when weather changes also.
Right.
Or was it the feeling of the town? Well, I found out the second time around. So when we get to Key West, we were so busy. We didn't have any time to do anything. So we got there, we were there the first day, and we kind of like did our own thing together. And
Mhm.
then our kids were supposed to meet us the next day for my birthday. My son bailed on us, and I was so mad at him. It was a kid. He had his kids. So
Right.
then I was like, okay, I get it. So when our daughter got there, we picked her up at the airport. Immediately, it was like, it's game time. It's all action from here. We went to the beach every single day except for like one. We went to downtown Key West, and we were walking. Like, we did everything you can imagine.
Mhm.
And then the day that she left, we went downtown to drink. And that's when it all started, because the moment we dropped her off at the airport is when I went to the cemetery.
There you go.
So we started with that because it was super hot, like
Mhm.
really, really hot that day. I think you could even see my eyeballs sweating in that video. So on my video,
Mhm.
I'm talking really quietly, and I don't know what happened. It was really weird because my video was fine, but when I replay it, there's a man talking over it. Did you notice that?
Mhm. That's why I
That
wanted to talk about that stuff.
was not there before. So there's a guy that talks over me for like probably, I don't know, like it's a good while, maybe
Mhm.
7 seconds or something like that, or 10 seconds.
I would say
It was
more like
not
10, but yeah.
there. It was a while.
Yeah.
So this cemetery um, was not originally there.
Mhm.
All these people that passed away were buried in another location, but this wicked storm came and washed everybody out of their graves. So they had to open a cemetery strictly for this purpose. So this
Mhm.
cemetery opens. Now, when I say that there are a lot of people buried there, it's like hundreds of thousands of people. So
Mhm.
the ratio of the dead to living is 4-1.
Mhm.
When I just got the chills thinking about it.
Yeah.
When I did my research on this,
Mhm.
because I do it after the fact for the
Right.
most part, but while I was there, I had to, figure it out, because it's like you're walking and walking and walking and walking, and I'm yelling to my husband, "How many freaking people are here?" Like, it was just so many people, and it was so hot, and like you'll get a tree and then there's nothing. Then you get a
Right.
tree. When I say that these graves were weird, they were weird. Like, some of them were in poetic pentameter. Some of
Mhm.
them had pictures of things. Some of them were decorated very ornately. Some had beads hanging on them. Some of them had candles just lit, and
Mhm.
it was like fizzling out. There were animals laying on them. And when I say animals, I mean cats, chameleons, like big, huge lizards. There were
Mhm.
mourning doves sitting on them. Anything you could think of, animals.
Mhm.
And it was quiet. You could hear a pin drop. It was the weirdest feeling. I kept getting the chills. I kept feeling weird things. I felt watched. There was a guy all the way at the other end, literally laying on top of this long marble slab,
Measuring to see if he fit there.
talking into the grave. I'm not kidding you.
Well,
So it must have been someone important to him.
right. Right.
And he was weeping. And when I turned to look, he didn't even seem embarrassed. He turned and looked and just kind of went and just curled up into a knapsack that he had and just kept talking quietly, very quietly. We weren't bothering him. He didn't bother us. That's it. It seemed normal, very normal. There were baked goods on some. It was very strange. So I mean, but it felt peaceful. It didn't seem like when I have some spirit around me, my heart
Right.
starts to pound,
Mm-hmm.
which I had the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't that with the feeling of wanting to throw up and having something in my throat. So there wasn't
Right.
anything negative there. It felt like home. It was
Mm-hmm.
a very strange feeling. So we did as much as we could, and then I started feeling like I was going to black out because it was so hot and I felt like sweat just pouring off of me. And I said, okay, it's time for a drink now. We had already had some drinks at breakfast because it was later. So we got back in the car and we went to Sloppy Joe's.
Okay.
Sloppy Joe's is very well known.
Mm-hmm.
And the day before, I was with my daughter and my husband, and we had done the African cemetery. So the African cemetery is a place where African slaves were kept in a ship.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think people realize this. They were on their way to Cuba
Mm-hmm.
to be sold.
Mm-hmm.
But our naval officers stopped this from happening. However, they were kept in such poor conditions, either no food, the food was filled with maggots,
Mm-hmm.
flies, it wasn't cooked, and they were just trying to eat whatever they could.
Right.
Feces, urine, people were already dead. They were packed so close together. And then there was a storm. So they were throwing bodies overboard, whatever
Mm-hmm.
was going on. So when the naval officers found them, they pulled them out and brought them to shore. The dead were buried at this location, and I think it was, and I don't remember the numbers offhand, but I think it was something like 800 something. It was either 800 something or 1200 something. I might have my numbers backwards, but they then found another 1200, I think it was, when they were doing work with equipment, like
Mm-hmm.
present day. And they buried all of these people, and it's the most beautiful thing you'll ever see. They have like the continent of Africa painted, and they
Mm-hmm.
have a compass, and they have different languages written. But it was so disgusting to read about this
Mm-hmm.
and how this all came about. But I was just so I don't even know the word for it. Heartbroken over the fact
Yeah.
that it was more women and children than anything, and all of these bodies were just left behind here because they didn't know what else to do with them. They
Right.
didn't know who they belonged to. They didn't know, where they came from, and it was their own people selling them.
Yep. And a lot of the times they were unwed women that,
Selling them
yeah. So, and that
for sex.
unwed women, that unwed mothers, they're good for having kids and doing all the dirty work and cooking and all that other stuff. And
Yeah.
that's what it was. So, sounds phenomenal. I really love St. Augustine. I could really spend so much time there. And every single time I say, okay, then I go back and see something else new because
Yeah.
how did I miss that? Wait a second, what
It's
happened?
it's easy. Like I said, you turn down one route. It's like you turn down a street and there's like 50 little alleys off of it.
Yeah, and then each one of them have little shops and
Yes.
little things
Little
and
restaurants.
yeah. So
When we were on our little day together,
mm-hmm.
we went to Captain Tony's, and Captain Tony's is known for a hanging tree. It's right in the center of it. And
Mm-hmm.
it's known that there's this woman, she was in a blue bathrobe, and she killed her husband and her children and chopped them into tiny pieces and ate them. So That's what that's known for. And then we didn't realize it, but we had been gone like all day long at this point.
Right.
And we made our way to Scarlet. It was called Scarlet O'Hara's, interestingly enough. But it's no longer called that. It's now called Scarlet Rogues because they changed owners.
Right.
So the first floor, I didn't put this video up yet. The first floor was built by this man. His name was Cooley, I think. George Cooley or Cooney. And he built the first floor for his soon-to-be wife. So supposedly how the story goes is that George found out that she was cheating on him, and she left to marry someone who was in the army. And he was so distraught that he kind of turned into a hermit. He met someone else after she married him, but the other woman was sending this man from her actual husband, was sending him to go to check on George a lot because she was worried about him because he was, not keeping up with himself. So George finally married another woman and he built the second floor.
Mm-hmm.
So while this other woman was doing, charity work or whatever, she was out, the army guy supposedly went into the house and choked George and drowned him in the bathtub. So we're at this place, and I'm talking to the bartender, Jolene. Hi, Jolene, if you're watching. And we made friends with lots of people over there.
That's the way to go. That's the way to go.
Right? So while we're there, I'm trying to fit as much in as I can. While we're talking to Jolene, she said, this place is haunted. And she said, are you? And I said, yes, I am. And I gave her one of my cards. And she said, come on in with me. So she took me into the bar. Now the bar is closed because they're renovating, and it's absolutely stunning inside. I can't wait to see what it's like when it's finished. She took me upstairs, and I see the bathtub. And I immediately start to have my heart race, and I'm starting to feel like I have water in my nose and in my lungs. And I said, I'm feeling like my lungs are filling with fluid. Now, she didn't tell me the whole story at this point. She told me just about him and the woman leaving him or whatever. And I said, I feel like I'm inhaling water. I feel like this is something lung and heart related. And she turns and she looks at me and she said, what? And I said, I feel like it's lung and heart related. And I said, my heart is pounding so hard, it feels like it's going to burst. But I also feel like it's a dry drown feeling, like I'm inhaling water. And she goes, the reason why the bathtub is still here is because this is where he died. And I said, I feel like someone has one hand here and the other hand here, and they're pushing down. And she goes, was it her? And I said, no. And I said, and it wasn't him either. And she said, I was just going to ask you that. And I said, it was another man, and it was over a business deal that went wrong. And she goes, that wasn't even in anyone's mind. And I said, well, somebody better start researching because that's what happened. So we all go back downstairs again. This guy walks in, and he's part of a tour thing. He's the tour leader. And he said, I'm coming here later with a tour. And she told him what I had said. And he said, little lady, I hope you're still here when I come back with the tour. It's a pub crawl tour. Or ghost hunting. And I said, why is that? And he said, because you can become part of the tour. So we just happened to still be there when he came back with them. And he said, y'all, I'm going to let you know that this is the only time this is ever going to happen. So you're very lucky to be here right now. This lady right here, she is a psychic medium, and she's going to tell part of the story. So I stood up and I told part of the story, and everybody was very interested in raising their hands. But the weirder part was there was a flag up on the wall, and there was a button there. And Jolene said, so while everyone's here, I'm going to ask a question. Maureen, can you take a look at this picture right here? And I went, oh. And she said, what can you tell me about that? And I said, that man was killed here out in the street. And she went like this, and she said, we're still looking for answers. That young man was here with his friends. We don't know what happened, but he went out into the street and he was shot there. So there's all this stuff that happened.
Yeah.
And it was within like such a short amount of time that we were all there. Just really crazy stuff.
It is very wild. It is a very wild town, that's for sure. A lot of history and a lot behind the scenes. So
yeah, even now.
Mm-hmm. So let's gear off a little bit.
Okay.
What is exciting news you got for us?
Oh, so my business partner, Alfie MacArthur, and I, we're always getting into projects together. And one day he called and he said, I need a female voice. And I said, for what? And he said, I wrote an album. And I didn't believe him at first. He's always into something crazy. And he said, I wrote it in the last 2 weeks. And I said, so that's why you're not answering my calls? And he said, yeah. And he said, but I need a female voice because I want to release it. And I said, what is it for? And he said, I wanted to raise funds so that we can get kids off the street, you know, gang members, people who are being bullied, homeless kids, whatever, the kids who are disadvantaged. And I said, I'm in, whatever you need me to do. And he said, you don't sing. And I said, I do, but I don't sing in front of people. And he goes, okay, so I'm going to send you the music. I want you to sing, and then I'll let you know what I think of it. So I thought he was going to make fun of me. But I get music back, and it's the two of us singing the song together, and it's called Love Hurts Sometimes. So he called me and he said, I can't believe you know how to sing. This is unreal. And he said, I want you to do a couple more songs. So we released this album. It's called The Real Street Diary. And I think it's 4 songs that I do. Some are with him, some are with just by myself.
Right.
And I think it's a total of 17 songs, but he wrote all of them himself, and they're beautiful. Some are a little country, some are a little rock and roll, some of them are a little club music, some are love songs, but they're all about what people go through in life. And we're raising money by having people click on them on Spotify or Apple or iTunes or whatever. And every click raises some money, but every time someone purchases an album, that money goes towards what we're going to be doing. And it's going to go into a TV show with these kids who are going to run a restaurant. So they can, first it's going to be to discipline them, of course, because we can't have, you know, different gangs on the same show.
Right.
It's not going to work, but
no.
We're going to discipline them military style. He's ex-military. He's an ex-pro boxer in Scotland, and he's done horror movies with Josh Myers. So he's done TV and movies before. So we're going to do all of that, and then we're going to have them run a full restaurant. That we're going to teach them how to cook. We're going to teach them how to handle food properly. We're going to teach them how to do book work. And then after the show is over, we're going to keep up with them and help them to get, you know, homes. We're going to teach them how to do checkbooks and whatever they need help with. We're going to keep in contact with them.
So give them tools so they don't go into, they feel like the gang is the only choice.
Yeah.
So very good.
So we're going to do one in the UK, and we're going to do one in the US as well.
Oh, wonderful. So I'm going to put up your Facebook so people can see and find you there, and also find the links to that. You also probably have it on the A Lil Witchy, right?
I believe it's up on A Lil Witchy, and I think it's also on Dimensions of the Supernatural, which is my podcast.
Right.
And again, it's on all of the different streaming platforms for music everywhere under The Real Street Diary. And I think it might be under Alfred MacArthur, which is MacArthur, not Alfie.
Okay. You're making sure. No,
Yeah.
but it is a wonderful thing. So this is,
Thank you.
people to donate and get some music, but it's a great cause. It's a great cause. So just out of the blue, it's
Just out of the
wonderful
blue.
when it's wonderful how things like that happen, right?
Yeah. I
And
mean, I don't want to have to sing in front of anybody, but I guess I'll do it for the kids. I don't know. Maybe we won't have to sing in front of people, but I'm
well,
glad to do it.
yeah, you know, by that time you would have sang the song so many times that you could just close your eyes and make believe you're in your own room. And
Hopefully.
not.
He called me one night and said, "Sister, what what are you doing in September? Are you doing I hate doing the Scottish accent. I really like I'm not good at it, but usually I can make fun of him pretty well. He wanted to go to Nashville to be on stage at the Hard Rock Cafe. They invited us, and I said, "I'm booked September. I'm booked October." He said, "You're just saying that." I said, "No, I'm really booked. I have weddings to officiate, and I can't
Right,
leave." So,
right.
um, yeah. And then he said, um, Nicole Scherzinger and Ed Sheeran, they're doing Dream Fest, which is like kind of
Oh.
like a Lollapalooza, and
Hmm.
they travel all over. And I said, I'm booked then too.
Whenever it is, I'm not sure what day it is, but I am
I'm,
sure
I'm
that I
I'm
am
booked
busy.
every time they have one. And he said, well, it's all over the place. There's one in like Sweden, Paris. I go, I'm not really good with flying, and I can't leave the country because I need my gallbladder out. And he goes, well, then you better schedule it for. And I said, and I lose my voice at high altitude. I was trying everything to get out of it.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh, well, we are almost out of time. We got wow, this went
This went
fast. But
so fast.
yes, we have like 2 minutes. So is there anything else that you want to say to the audiences?
Um, please support the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to our music. If you like it, please let us know. I hope you do, because he's getting ready to do another album if you don't. I don't know. Watch Dimensions of the Supernatural. It's on.
I'll put your YouTube channel up here so people can
I
go
just
go
started that YouTube
Mm-hmm.
page, so if you see that no one's watching, that's why. You could see it on Facebook.
Yeah, yeah. You can find it on Facebook, and we got your Facebook thing too, so it could they could find you there. So
Yeah, friend me on Facebook. I don't bite much.
much. All right, hun. Well, I want to thank you. Just
Thank
please hold
you.
on. I want to say thank you to the audience, and as always, many blessings. And we love you. Bye.